must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is. It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, "He is our son and he is our thief."
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader, probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth in the security, governance, and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers, do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa. The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
Conflicts in Africa have become the daily occurrence. Daily occurrences in many countries, in the sense that almost every African country, apart from the few, there is tension. One wonders where this tension at times comes from. Some of it comes from elections, a manufactured election, a disputed election results. Some come from territory. Some are terrorist based, like that of Somalia and Boko Haram. Some are because of regime change, purely sponsored by external forces. But 95 to 96% of conflicts in Africa occur through the sponsorship of external darker forces that would like to benefit out of the spoils of war. George Soros stands as one person who has always been and will always be and shall be until the end, a man who sponsors any type of chaos, who does not follow which type of chaos he is sponsoring, as long as it is chaos that can topple a person he hates in Africa. Many African countries are undergoing this pressure, this tension, especially those that are conducting elections and whose timetable for elections seem to be coming in. As a result of that, Africa stands warned, and Africa must stand on alert about the external forces that want to dismember this continent and create heavens of war, create insecurity, create mirage peace that Africans have fought after 66 years of gaining political independence. It is therefore my submission that most African countries, if they don't look at what George Soros is doing, we might have a shocker one morning, one by one, African country being pushed out and the leaders being pushed out of power. The events, therefore, in South Africa, as proved from these detailed undercover operations, they prove that George Soros indeed has a say in South African politics. And therefore, we want to urge Africans and African heads of state and their military and intelligence systems to be careful and watch on the amount of money that is being pumped into their economies, because some of the money could be George Soros money that will end up to bring public disorder in most of the African countries. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much, viewers. One of the problems, the obstacles that Kenya faces emanates from structural challenges, obstacles. From 2012, I have been singing in this country, telling people that Kenya faces structural obstacles, challenges that make it difficult, duplicate the jobs. For example, the structures of civil service, the structures of the workforce of the government is overburdened with wage bill. The product of the structures or obstacles of structural challenges bring about wage bill. The ballooning wage bill is as a result of duplicity of much of what we do. For example, you find two PSs in one ministry running and doing the same job. We find ballooned ministries doing the same job. Yet a lean government would have solved the same problem and cost little money. The obstacles that we find are the ones that are bringing us a ballooned type of budget that we saw yesterday. Almost a quarter of 2/3 of the money generated in recurrent budget expenditure is on wages. Is it the time for the government to cut down on the higher number of employees?
Mr. Speaker, in the coming financial year, we expect revenue, including A&A, of 2.1 trillion. Expenditure and net lending are projected at 2.8 trillion, leaving a fiscal deficit, including grants, of 6 or 7.8 billion. In relation to GDP, this deficit translates to 5.6%, a decline from 6.8% in this financial year and 7.4% last financial year.
Take Rwanda, for example, whose budget is in a few billions. It has over 9,000 workers. The whole Rwanda has 9,000 workers, civil servants, compared to 230,000 or more above that Kenyan civil service. Most of the work in Rwanda is done on e-commerce and on e-tender and on e-something, electronic, You can apply for tender while you are in London and you are awarded the tender while you are in Singapore. Is that what we want in Africa? Yes, it cuts down the ballooning of the wages that have actually made our budgets bigger, unmanageable, threatening the local populace, giving more anguish, more pain for the citizens of this country to carry the burden of an inflated budget. A recurrent expenditure budget. There is nothing new that has not been seen already. How Africa can do change from this is an example coming from Rwanda. Thank you.
Building Pan-African platforms for Africa. Valorizing Pan-African know-how for all countries. Showcasing Pan-African fashion. Sharing Pan-African joy with the world. Entertaining huge crowds with lots of fun activities for children and young people. Featuring live music bands. That's our duty for Africa, partners of Africa and its diaspora. Expo, Africa Expo and Festival, Tübingen, Germany, 2019. From July 29th to August 4th, 2019, 7 days for Africa at Tübingen, Germany as from 10 a.m. Featuring all 54 countries with Ethiopia, Southern Cameroon and Senegal in focus. Africa Market, food and drinks, exhibitions, church and gospel. Festival with top African stars and the first Pan-African conference featuring keynote speakers. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, Dr. Pierrette Fofana and many others. Monday to Wednesday, children and young students days. Free entry. Thursday to Sunday, festival days. Top stars: Makumba, Manugalo, Black Prophets, Kwali, Lady B, Goma Africa Band, Bill Misha. Party, fashion show, parade and fundraising gala. Join us in Tübingen, Germany. To book, exhibit and attend, call or WhatsApp us at +49 152 106 103 74. Visit our brand new homepage at www.africaexpofestivalgermany.com. Africa Expo and Festival Tübingen, Germany. We do it the African way. Sponsor and partners. And a special collaboration of the Southern Cameroon's Broadcasting Corporation for a better visibility of your company and products.
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting from Nairobi and all over the whole world, wherever you are in America. Good morning in America, in North America. Good morning, South America. Good morning in Bahamas, wherever you are in the Caribbeans. Good morning. Good morning or good evening in South Under, which is the world under, in Australia, New Zealand. Esther Arungai, I think after the probation you have to make your way home, return to where you were born, where you love most. Thank you. Good morning, Esther. Thank you very much. Behave and take the 10-month probation. Good morning. With me in the studio today to discuss none other than the very serious topics of Africa is Miriam Ogutu. Good afternoon, Miriam.
Good afternoon to you.
You had a nice weekend?
Absolutely.
From Friday.
Yes.
We left when things were heating up.
Yes.
Especially on the referendum.
Exactly.
And the referendum in the Republic of Kenya seemed to be the only subject, but we shall not stick ourselves to that only.
Yes.
That is going to be our main topical discussion.
Yes.
This referendum, who funded it, how signatures were got, who verified the signatures. Is the body verifying the signatures credible? Is it well constituted? There are so many things. I believe by tomorrow morning, Mr. Wamutata and others will be in the court to find out how they reached to this quick conclusion.
We were just wondering where Wamutata was on Friday.
Yes.
He finally has emerged from somewhere, so he's going to court tomorrow.
Yes. It looks like he's already going to court. Because how the IEBC came to conclusion, Chebukati has got 3 commissioners, and how speedily it was done is a suspect. So many Kenyans are asking. So many of them also are very happy. Someone has floated something that most of the people who are saying the MPs have been eating a lot of money, most of the people have tried to put something on the social media, and we are told that the number of people who came for me, they want to, they were agreeing. They said, but Matanga, the baggage, the muzigo, the burden was too heavy. So whether this can sort of Kenya's political paralysis that we find ourselves in is God to tell, and that for time to ignorate us. And I think there is bound to be quite a lot of things happening. And as we shall talk about the referendum, we shall also look at African news, some other. Of course, our usual subject, the legacy. This referendum tests the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
It does.
It has tested the legacy. He has to be a tough statesman,
yes,
to pass through this. Let me tell you, I think before we go any further, I would like to make it categorical that I am in for the building of bridges initiative. I believe that the BBI, after the BBI, the rest can come. After Kenyans have found out what is good in the BBI, what is good for Kenya, after finding out the unity, removing the hatred, getting reconciliation, healing, getting an electoral body, a better electoral system that will guarantee the winner, the loser, not going to the streets. Electoral system like that of South Africa. That is the type of thing I'm looking for, to say, to look at the recommendations. This referendum, or whatever you want,
yes, this
is just a mixture of what a Ugandan would call katogo. It's a katogo.
It's a cocktail of
cocktail of disaster. Okay. Because you cannot start talking about a referendum when you have 3 commissioners deciding on the signatures. What was the method, the criteria of obtaining the signatures?
That is the IEBC commissioners.
Yes.
The ones who have been left, yes.
The 3 are also on cliffhanger. They are being contested against. Chebukati himself. Chebukati works with that woman in the UN called who? What is her name? Akombe.
Yes, Akombe.
They have been working together. Yes. Akombe works with George Soros. Akombe's life is NGO, civil society. Akombe still wields power to own Chebukati. You saw how Chebukati
still
cried.
Where she is right now in New York.
Yes.
She's still wielding.
You saw how Chebukati cried, yes, when Akombe left. Akombe, Chebukati, Okuro, a court. Let's be honest. These are NGO, civil society. There is nowhere, no office, no government office except in Kenya that a Ekuru Court has ever worked. A Ekuru Court only worked in George Soros' mentorship. He was appointed to go and do the Liberian constitution. You remember?
Yes.
That's where he got bit of the money and entered the civil society. There is nowhere. So Ekuru Court, one of the things that I talk frankly, he's the one who made this constitution. And I told him one day that this will come to haunt you. When him and Mboya, Apollo Mboya, wanted to arrest me, because I said, Okot and Mboya, Okot, you cut and paste. There is nothing you tell people that you studied law. Tell me one case between a cat and a rat that Okot has won. One case like this on his own is not there.
It's not there.
It's not there. Now I told them, and I'm giving you a chance to say
Yes.
what you this is your constitution.
Yes.
I told them that you cut and paste the United States, the South African constitution, and plastered it on the Kenyan main constitution.
Together with the UK.
The constitution of this country is a constitution made in between hell and heaven.
So it's a hybrid of disaster.
No, hell and heaven, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it hangs there.
A hybrid of disaster.
A disaster.
Okay.
And it was Mr. Ekuru Court himself who made it. He was the CEO. He left loopholes to come and survive. That's how NGOs survive. You never find a court with a good briefcase is with a bag. Or on the plane, whether you are going where is rough with jeans, you're going, carrying the suit to change to go under. That's all. He doesn't know anything else. He has no MPs. He has no what they are doing. And the agencies, security agencies in Kenya, watch. I have been putting you on alert. Watch, my security agency friends. Watch. This is the beginning of all disaster. George Soros has finally landed himself through Ekuru Court. People might fear to tell him, but if some of us who have intelligence reports from those agencies, you saw the other time I said, I delayed naming the Kenyan list of where the funds came, who gets the funds, how it is sent. I will name it. But I delayed because I wanted this Katogo mixture cocktail to appear now. Then we can sort out men and the boys in international systems. This Ekuru Court, this is zero. This is a disaster. This is an NGO. A man has brought a knife. A man has brought a knife out. This is the month of July. Uhuru Kenyatta must stand up and fight. Uhuru and Raila must stand up because whoever has designed this activity, Miriam, is to suffocate BBI.
Yes.
It was rushed to suffocate building of bridges initiative by the president and the former prime minister. And you have seen the group that is running to support is Tanga group. They are all over the whole media, except I like Duale. Mr. Duale, thank you. When you put Senator Murkomen, put Murkomen under Ekuru Court, they all worked for George Soros. Hello, Kenyans, don't you see what is going on? Murkomen has come out openly as a leader of majority. He likes the referendum. A coordination has been going on. Now, one master behind all this bought the idea, injected in his money. Tori Chebukati, pop, later signature, later. So, any Kenyan who wants peace in this country, go to the court, seek a recount, a verification of those signatures. Seek the mandate of Chebukati. Chebukati is one of the most bad person in this country who can bring this country. If you leave him in the Electoral Commission, he will bring disaster to this great nation of East Africa. I speak with age, because he's not bigger than me in age. I'm older than him. He can shut up. Because elders speak. He is a lawyer, he has to listen to me. I'm umukuka. Therefore, he will not answer me. Chokati, ma'am, you will bring disaster to this country. He has been, there is something going on here. And if we don't expose it much earlier, Miriam, we are going to regret. We are going to regret. As these things work out, you see, the Senate is already poised. The Mr. Maraga is waiting. Mr. Maraga, he has cards. His cards are waiting here. You never completed the 2/3 gender rule.
I saw on Friday he gave direction to, I think, the senators, and I think the case will start.
Yes, that they can mediate. He has taken that. That's what I wrote. Isn't it me who wrote? I said Kenyan case needs mediation. It's a matter of mediation.
Yes. So you mentioned referendum. Of course, we're talking about the referendum today, and the kind of effect, I think, what kind of effect do you think it will have, especially on what the President Kenyatta right now is trying to do? We've been counting the months. How many months are remaining now? 36 months, I believe. Will this not be a distraction if we now start going, the full throttle referendum way and we start?
This is it, but that
and
yes.
also, I think probably the BBI, why some, and this is just my thinking, why a section of politicians in this country do not want this BBI to happen is because this could be actually the biggest President Kenyatta's legacy. If he manages to put these things in place and actually unite Kenyans for once, the BBI could be his biggest legacy. I don't know what you make of that.
There's no, how is it going to be they have brought the biggest problem to scuttle the BBI. The referendum of Mr. Ekot is to scuttle the BBI. Already they have said the BBI had nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing in the BBI. Some of them are questioning how it was formed. Some of them are saying 10 billion shillings was misused. Some of them are saying there are so many activities that are anti-BBI. Some of them don't like to hear the handshake between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. Some of them are opposed completely to mentioning the name of Raila Odinga. I am being hated today because they keep on telling me, how many hate messages do I get in my inbox? Over 1,000 a day. That how did I betray them by supporting Raila Odinga? I'm telling you the truth today. People have turned on me. Then I asked them, is Raila Odinga not a Kenyan? Whatever you want to do, but Raila is a Kenyan. One day he will come back. Whether you are going to be the president Ruto tomorrow, you have to contend with Raila. He's a Kenyan. You are not going to kill him. You will lead him if you win your presidency. So what is wrong? If the president of Republic of Kenya has chosen the route, I have no powers. I don't have the powers. As an analyst, an expert, international consultant, you can consult me if you don't want. If you want, consult me. If you don't want, to hell, I'm not bothered. And if I'm consulted, I will tell you the BBI redemption strategy is the best.
Mm-hmm. So we see on the Standard today, that is the Standard, Sunday Standard, one of the leading newspapers in Kenya, and we see a referendum bill real scare for the big three. So that is the headlines. But outside of that, the Standard has just made a highlight of what Okuro Court is proposing, and maybe we'll just look at point by point and see whatever sense this makes. So in his proposal, we start with the point one. Okuro Court says that there should be a 7-year term presidency.
And then?
And then you just go for one term and you go home. Is that enough time for any president to bring any level of...
Show us where it has worked. Show us where it has worked. Show Kenyans. There is a one-term president that has worked where?
It's not even... Is it even there anywhere in the world?
No, it is not there.
Okay.
That's wrong. This guy did not read law and did not read constitutional law. He has never written, cannot do comparative constitutionalism. Where has it worked? A one-term presidency. Where has it worked? Go ahead, go on reading.
The second one is saying that the 290 constituencies should be reduced to 94.
How? We are taking devolution home. How do you reduce the constituencies? What's the purpose of devolution? Zero logic.
All right.
I'm a teacher. He has never taught this thug here. He has never taught. He's just gobbling NGO money. Let me teach him. You have decided to take devolution. Devolution goes nearer to the people. What is the service of devolution? Is the unit. The unit is devolution. That devolution takes the services nearer to the people. The constituency is the nearest to the devolution of a county. For you to reduce, you are creating another state within a state of devolution. What? Show me. Show me. Go and cut those constituencies. Then you leave some people marginalized. All what he should have said, in fact, devolution was the creation for people to receive services. Now, if you go inside the devolution and break it, because if you are breaking counties, if you are breaking constituencies, you are going to go and be costly. It is more costly to break the constituencies now. You get the point? How are you going to, you demarcate them? How?
So, of course, I think this is advised by the increasing wage bill that the country has been experiencing, and it has become apparent that we are paying too much, especially for these politicians, starting with the governors, senators, the assistant senators, members of parliament. So maybe this might have advised, but 94 constituencies, I think this could be too much reduced.
You can't reduce, you see, a court forgot one thing. What brings the wage bill in Kenya? What brings the wage bill in Kenya? There are structural challenges, the obstacles of structures, duplicity of work. You don't go, and you have gone already from the central unitary system of a one nation, spread to counties. Then now in the counties, you go and dismember the counties. Have you seen where the Kenyans are going to have a problem? That people within those counties will be lumped with other places. Already they have been smelling how CDF, constituency fund, works.
Flowing, yes.
Flows. Even if there are 10 children going, to bursary, that is a constituency fund. For you now to lump it again by saying in one county we get 3 constituencies is a long.
That's a very long shot there. Yes,
that one he failed. Bring another one.
The other point in what Mr. Kuro Court is proposing for the referendum bill is he's saying there should be the special interest group seats in National Assembly should be reduced to 6 from 12. That people with disabilities, the youth, and they're normally nominated for those posts. So he's saying that should be reduced to 6. Not much argument there, but also now he's saying capping MPs' maximum consolidated pay at 300,000 Kenya shillings a month from 620,000 shillings a month, and also a 500,000 monthly pay for president from 1.2 million Kenya shillings. Is this realistic?
No. The whole of a court's argument is flawed on one basis. He didn't. This his points of seeking a referendum did not address the root cause. What is the root cause, Mr. Okuro Ekot? What is it? And I will leave it. Let's talk now. Leave it. I will tell you as we go.
Yes.
Later. What is the root cause of all this problem? Why are we having too much money? Why are we having this? Why are we having MPs doing this? What is the root cause? What is it? Kenya is not a country that lacks that money. What is the root cause? Kenya can pay for its civil servants.
Yes.
Very effectively. Kenya can pay for its debts very effectively. If Okuro Ekot was trying to cut down, to stop the pillage of funds,
yes,
from the government coffers, I would be very happy with him. I would have given him 100. But he has not told me the root cause yet. I am seeing periphery,
yes,
selecting. That is normal.
Doctor, tell us the root cause now.
No, let's finish his thing first.
Yes.
Look here.
Yes.
Let's finish all his and put it here so that people who are watching don't think that some of us did not go to school.
All right.
Yes.
So this I don't know how these politicians will. I think this bill will be dead on arrival. He's saying all elected leaders will not even get any other allowances.
You see?
Yes.
There is no social contract in Africa. Okuro Ekot forgot. And that is linked to my root cause. The biggest problem of all what Okuro Ekot has said can be summarized in 2 words.
Yes.
The collapse of social contract. Social contract. Full stop. Mr. Okuro Ekot, you can cut even one constituency per county. But as long as you have not devised the social contract of Resu,
still have the same problems.
Yes.
I believe, yes.
That man said he told you. That guy told you. That all this you are taking of reduce this. There is a problem here, sir. You didn't address, you are an intellectual. You should have come up first and told the Kenyans, hello, tell the Kenyans the truth. Our problem is the collapse of the social structure, contract. We go and borrow money from China. We guzzle it. We eat it when Chinese work so hard in those paddy fields of rice, producing rice. In order to save the money, we eat it, we steal it, we bank it in mattresses. We have a problem.
Well, they have until October to return the mattress bank.
Yes.
Money for the new currencies.
Doesn't that bring you to where the problem is? This, you can cut the MPs, no problem. But as long as you have no social contract,
it's still going to be a problem.
It's still the problem. Kenya does not lack money. Kenya has money. But Kenya's social contract is collapsed. The stealing of the cash, the corruption, the morals, the moral fabric of Kenya is gone. Like the moral fabric of Uganda, like the moral fabric of Rwanda or Burundi, which has no money for even an election of its own. The moral fabric of Congo, which has the biggest mineral reserves, but it wants to borrow $2.8 billion. This is the moral. The fabric is collapsed. There is no social contract in Africa.
DRC wants to borrow how much now?
They wanted to borrow 2.8 to run an election.
I feel sad.
You saw that?
it's ridiculous, so, yes.
Miriam, we have a problem.
We have a problem.
Read another one.
He's saying that there should be an abolition of the position of the deputy governor. We've seen in Nairobi here, we've been, Governor Sonko has been, we've not had our deputy for how long now?
For almost 2 years.
And nobody notices. So maybe, does this make sense? Should we abolish the position of the deputy governor?
Even if you abolish the position of the deputy governor,
yes,
as long as you don't have a social contract within the devolution structures,
Yes.
as long as the social contract has collapsed,
Yes.
you'll have the same.
You'll still have the same problem. And he's saying use a word as primary unit of development, replacing the constituency and hence CDF. And he's also saying that every Kenyan above 18 years with a national identity card shall be deemed as a registered voter for purposes of election and referendum. This will save Kenyans and IBC 29 billion Kenya shillings spent on voter registration. So once you go to register to take your identity card,
That has been catered by Huduma number.
You automatically
No, it is useless. Why do you bring it here? It's catered for.
by Huduma.
Everybody will have a Huduma number.
Yes.
So you don't need, you are already
so there will
registered.
not be a need for
you
every
can
5
even
years.
vote with a Huduma number. That's all.
So there'll be no.
So that is, cancel it. It's gone.
I should cancel it from of the
Yes,
newspaper.
cancel it. Cancel it. So look at one.
Yes.
Where is there is nothing in that referendum of Mr. Ekot that addresses the root cause of why Kenya, and listen to me, why Kenya fights every day.
Yes.
Why Kenya fights every 5 years. That one has not addressed it. I'm sorry, that is my view. And I'm sure that other politicians and other senior people in this country, this is your country, you will talk about it. I'm sure in the valleys and in the mountains across the country, you will find the truth. The truth is this referendum does not address the root cause as to why every 5 years there are dead people.
All right, and still on the standards here, the headlines here on the front page. Let me just read this: the referendum bill real scare for Big Three, and there's a caption here that continues to say that Uhuru, Ruto, and Raila mum for second day running as reality of IBC's endorsement of Punguza Mzigo drive begins to be felt, with allies sending mixed signals. Some betraying fears that our court has done away with it, and others are taking strategic, if not opportunistic, positions. So Uhuru, Ruto, and Raila have been mum, as the standard has said.
Because Uhuru, Ruto, and Raila, they are because it's a confusion.
Okay.
Someone has played Machiavellian politics in this. Someone has played Machiavellian politics, delivered us where we are.
So nobody foresaw that actually IBC will agree to the signatures, will append to the signatures. And
this was fast tracked behind back doors.
Okay.
My friend, this is Machiavellian politics. People can say I'm shouting, but that's how I speak. It's Machiavellian politics played here, and the Kenyans be very careful.
All right.
Machiavellian politics is here. Someone has paid Chebukati to quickly fast track, and that person is going to be seen. Kenyans are not going to be foolish. Let's see the verification of signatures put through the court and the system of the court. How did 3 IBC commissioners verify 2 million signatures and got 1.3? Yet they could not even make, they could not even do a simple register ready for elections. Why? Why?
Yes. So interesting. So on the Sunday Nation, right here, I think the same story, but with the betting up there. So they're saying Ruto allies plot to block referendum, and I'll just read a bit of that. It is saying the Third Way Alliance has now received IBC's no to start drive to change the law, and some Jubilee members are open to the idea, and Raila's party has indicated it wants a constitution amended before next polls, but Deputy President's camp has signaled it will fight back hard. So that is just what the Sunday Nation is saying this afternoon. So this referendum, it's not something that is going away very, very soon, and it appears that it's soon in the offing. So it appears, according to the Sunday Nation doctor, is saying that Ruto allies plot to block referendum.
Ruto allies plot to
block the referendum, yes.
No, the same ally, Minister Murkomen, Senate, has already on Twitter and on social media.
So the others who are supporting it, but the others who want to block
they
it.
planted it.
Listen,
Mama.
Yes.
This is, I told you, all this bad politics of Kenya surrounds one person. And one day, people will thank me for having been frank. For having been frank a war. For having been frank and said it. Because you will thank me one day.
Yes.
You will thank me. This referendum does not solve Kenya's problems. Does not solve the root cause of why Kenya fights every 5 years.
That I agree with you.
Yes, that's all. That's what I was waiting to tell you.
And our reader, one of our listeners here and our watchers here, thank you, Peter Kireso. And the rest of you, I'll probably read some of your comments later on, but Peter Kireso Mokayo saying, corruption is enemy number one, and whoever is not giving the fight against same first chance is pretentious, dishonest, and cornish. And we remember all these problems you're having.
Is corruption.
After President Uhuru Kenyatta really gave his commitment in the fight against corruption. So Peter Kirosi there, thank you.
Exactly. The social contract is not there. How are you going to tell me you are going to reduce these MPs who have smelled this money? Because reducing the constituency, you're also reducing the MCAs.
I think the MCAs can stay
remain where?
For the roots.
Where?
And then
and the root what? You are in that constituency.
And then
you see the confusion that this whole thing brings.
The MCAs have the wards, and then they'll be relocated back to some counties.
Mama, Mama, without any, please. This is a total confusion.
This is a complete.
There is nothing in this referendum of Mr. Ekuro Court was to get money from George Soros and buy another house and marry another woman. Period. Nakwambia, amepata. He has got it.
To do what?
Yes, I've told you Kenyans, he's got it. Because that's what George Soros wanted. That is it. George Soros wanted that. Wanted to know whether someone can maneuver the Kenyan government and dismantle it. Let's take a break.
All right. We'll be right back.
Fellow Africans, since 1957, when Ghana gained independence, there has been quite a lot of political, social, economic indicators on the African continent that show that Africa has progressed from pre-independence Africa to post-independence Africa.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. From now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
66 years down the road, Africa finds itself with the first country, Ghana, having gained independence. We find ourselves still locked up, controlled, manipulated, instructed, logistically supplied, equipped by foreign powers that dictate our agenda. Africa is endowed with plenty of minerals, resources, good weather. The climate is so favorable for the growth of food enough to sustain us. But we find ourselves in countries where hunger is killing people. Hunger is killing people because Most of the people have taken to arms to fight wars, conflicts. Starvation has taken the place of development in most African countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, in Biafra, and north of Nigeria there is Boko Haram. Somalia in the Horn of East Africa, we have taken to conflict instead of development. Development was the key indicator. When Kwame Nkrumah made the first speech that seek ye African political unity, economic development will come automatically, he was right. The events happening in Libya today vindicates Nkrumah, vindicates Nyerere, Sekou Toure, and Nasser, the founding fathers of our Pan-Africanism. The events happening in Central African Republic, in Congo today, as the war of rebels ranges on between the rebel and the rebels and the government and the rebels, vindicates the founding fathers of this revolution. Our independence, therefore, was only on paper. Our independence, therefore, was only in symbols. Our independence also was in signs. Our independence also was in boundaries. That we received our flags, but we never received full independence as by the word independence. Most of the 3/4 of African countries, French-speaking countries, have their budgets being done in Paris. Is that independence? The Paris government or the French government does its budgets based on how much they will get from African countries. Is that independence? Is this the Africa that you want? Is it the Africa that we must look at? Is it the Africa that we shall leave for the future generation? If the answer to you is yes, then so be it. But if the answer is no, you agree with me that this is not the Africa we want to live for the future generation. Our generations and the future generation need to find a legacy. What is the legacy that Africa and African Union will leave for the future generation? The wars ranging in Libya, in South Sudan, in Khartoum, in Mogadishu, in DRC Congo, in Amazonia, in Cameroon, Boko Haram, Mali, in Mauritania, the uprisings in Algeria, all point to one thing, that yes, we are not yet independent. We are still controlled by external forces. Thank you. Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya, that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you. We were heating up, and I think we are being picked up by the satellite. I've seen a signal here. Welcome to the show. Mm-hmm. Today, we dedicated this entire day on the question of the referendum. The referendum in Kenya the proposals for a referendum. It has to go through stages. Among the proposals is 147 MPs from 400 something. Okay, is it possible? The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission last week said it was popular, and the popular initiative by Third Way Alliance has been supported by 1.2 million registered voters. Okay, Article 257 of the Constitution states an amendment can come from any format, especially proposed by popular initiative signed by at least 1 million people. The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya is progressive in many ways. It has secured separation of powers in government, and notably given Kenya a truly independent judiciary, executive, and parliament. And it has also brought power and resources closer to the people. But this referendum seeks to again remove the resources closer to the people. And yet people were beginning to see self-governance amongst themselves. The people, the MPs are around. People are around. You feel that your MPs here, for you now to be lumped into another group with one MP, yet in one constituency, sub-clans in one constituency could not see eye to eye. The question of game, where you come from, it was very clear. The MP, the current MP, Mr. What is his name? The MP for game, my friend.
Odhiambo, somebody Odhiambo.
Yes.
Elisha
Odhiambo. I know the name Elisha. Versus the old friend of mine,
yes.
Mediwo,
yes.
It's clanism. The voting was clan against the clan. So have you seen the magnitude of problems that you are going to bring back?
But for Mediwo, we were being forced to. Game people did not like him very much because all the years he was being elected there's nothing really he did. But he was running, the fact that he's related to Raila now, the ODM was forced.
You see now?
To overthrow.
There you
people
are.
Did not like him, but
there you are.
Yes.
But I'm saying, if we have those intra-constituency battles, what about a larger constituency battles? We have intra-constituency, inside constituency. One clan from the mountain does not want to listen to the leader coming from the valley. In this place here,
yes.
The one in the hamlet of the other valley says the people across that river, those are the people who have been coming to steal. That clan has wizards. That clan has got barren people. When you marry from that clan, you don't produce. This has got them. You see, we, as much as you want, like now we want to take services to the people. But if you come back to balkanize them again, already counties, there are some counties that cut some people out. Some constituencies in this country have cut some people in the middle, and yet they are supposed to be relating in one situation. Look at the constituencies, especially the ones in Machakos, Kagundo, those areas. There's a lot more, the Kitui, those bordering Isiolo, and so many other places. There is a complaint.
Yes, and what Okot is proposing will seem to be giving the MCAs more power. I don't know if more power in the counties, if bestowed in the MCA, will the counties be safe?
As I have told you in the first instance, my dear sister, whether you propose which the best way, as long as we have churches performing miracles that are not miracles, we are wasting our time. As long as we have money being taken away from the government coffers by cartels, we have no future. The constitution can be changed, the referendum can change everything. As long as we have the same electoral format, the same electoral format that Kenya wants, to maintain, without proportional representation, like the one of South Africa. If this guy had talked about changing the electoral commission, electoral system of Kenya, I would be the first one to lay my back and my big stomach here for him to walk on. Because the problem of Kenya lies in that. The Kenyan problem today lies in the electoral commission, elections. It doesn't lie. During no election time, people are eating food together, dancing together, enjoying together, traveling together, drinking the same water. When elections in Kenya come, that is what BBI, Building of Bridges initiative of President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to bring here to make sure that people don't kill each other because of an election. That is the thing I want to support. This rest of this was money. The man wanted money. He got it. He got it. By the way, we don't want to question, because he doesn't have an account that can explain how he hired the helicopters. How did he travel to those remote areas to get those signatures? Or he got a night file data system and just copied the signatures? How? Have we verified those signatures? Apart from Chebukati, whom we know very well is very monkey and a Kwango. He has monkey and a Kwango businesses. The one Matianga said, the monkey business and the Kwango business. Are you sure that it was not Akombe who gave all this? Akombe and him were working together very nicely. They were all NGO, well-natured by George Soros. The guy has been smart, he got it. If there was money that he was looking for, I bet he got the money. This one is something that went unnoticed. People did not ask how the man was getting signatures.
Or maybe they didn't imagine he'll go ahead and do it. Nobody paid much attention to...
No, the problem of this country, of all African countries, is people don't think. When you wake up in the morning and tell them there's George Soros here, coming here, he's here, they think you are shouting. Look at how many Kenyans are insulting me. Because I'm warning them about George Soros. I'm telling them that George Soros is going to dismember this country.
So of course...
how many of them are insulting me? How do you know that the man could have sold Total Oil to one of Gamia One? How? Did their institutions see? How did this man, a party that does not have representative, even one single one, in either MCA or parliament, have you seen one? Do they have?
No, they don't.
They don't. How does a man of that nature is able to obtain 1.5 million signatures, of which they require every individual of that is must sign? Can we verify, call one by one? Because this is going to cost Kenyans over 20 billion to 30 billion to conduct a referendum. We can as well lose 1 billion to go back to the signatures, call the names, and then everybody comes to sign again.
So you're not in support of any kind of referendum at all?
No, I am. Look.
Or not this one?
Until the BBI finds out the root cause.
Yes.
I have told you, Miriam, there is a root cause. I told you, you agreed with me.
There is a root cause, yes.
What the root cause that makes people steal the money? That makes the people steal the money which they have borrowed from China. Steal it. That's the root cause I want to go with.
You want to go with?
If BBI brings that root cause, that is the time that every Kenyan now can say, aha, now we have found the root cause.
Yes.
If BBI can stop the killings, the dying of every Kenyan on every 5 years, mine is that. What worries me most is that why Kenyans die after every 5 years.
5 years, every electoral.
Even if you make it 7 years,
still not okay.
Still they will die. They will kill each other. Look at the temperature now in the country. Look at it, raised. It has been raised to this level. There is a department manufacturing letters. They keep on coming. We don't know what they have manufactured next. There is Gijopev. There is a department of Gijopev in this country. Yes. It manufactures letters. It can even manufacture that Miriam and Matanga were playing. What is this thing you play?
Bowling.
Bowling.
Went for bowling, yeah.
Yes, that when bowling, playing bowling together up to 10 o'clock. There is a department here doing that. In one of these government institutions. I'm telling you. And I keep on telling them every day. A letter is manufactured to embarrass the president. And these guys are there. They earn the government money. They have bodyguards.
To disparage the same government.
They disparage the same government they are earning money from. You wait. This is all these things. You can run to referendum. You can. This is running away from audit. From the time the president said in Mombasa, Kuja lifestyle audit, one section of the government said, what? We are in trouble. Okay? And this section is the Machiavellian section. And let those hear me. I am not a man who misses words. Hate me. And in fact, don't give me anything. Even if you find me dying of hunger, let me die, but I would have told you the truth. War. This is going to cause a problem. Go slow, don't break up Kenya. Don't. This is a country that we love so much in Africa. Don't break it up. Don't break it up.
Yes, and of course.
If you say you want to rule this country, Raila is also a Kenyan. So will you kill him and then rule alone? Uhuru is a Kenyan. If he resigns, if he leaves and goes home, you have to protect him. Kenya is the only country that protects former presidents. Now you hate them. You want to start hating him, putting a very bad perception on the president that you elected, undermining him as if there is a vacancy. Yourselves, have you seen where we have dug the hole ourselves? In the Jubilee Party, I'm a member, not a member of Jubilee Party. A friend. A friend. I contributed. I contributed enormously. I traveled. I gave my cars. I gave everything. I gave my all 10, 11 cars. They were walking around this country for Jubilee to win an election. The second campaign, I even got I had an accident. Anybody can check. I have never gone to hospital in my life. My mother last took me to hospital in 1957 when I had measles. I was already born. Therefore, tell me what's wrong. I also have a stake. The stability of this country is the stability of my country across. We don't want refugees coming to Uganda. We have very many still settled in my own clan, my own parish. I have 6. Kimanis and Wamatangis and so on. They are there doing M-Pesa. They are there. They have refused to come. They say they are integrated there. Nobody discriminates them. This is the type of life that we must teach.
Yes.
Never to have this repeat again.
So when you talk about the root cause, we should look at that.
Mama, thank you. That's what I told you. This thing of a court is useless.
Why, even after?
It's very useless. Very. In fact, if I was a Kenyan, I would have moved to court tomorrow. It's useless. It was meant for money, and he got the money. Let him eat the money and marry other women, another extra baggage. But there was nothing done for the people of Kenya. The root cause was not found. Why people kill themselves every election in Kenya, Walai, is not here. Show me. Read something. Maybe you have not read. Read something.
Well, whatever.
Why we need a referendum. Read a small one that can entice my heart.
Why we need a referendum.
Why we need a referendum. Read it and I get it, David Matanga, and I can cut some ears and give to you. Then you can grow with those ears if God can allow me. Read it. Where is it? This referendum is shallow. The things that this man went in are shallow, hollow, naive, prudish, sardonic. Look for a dictionary. There is nothing in this referendum. This guy is used to cut and paste, cut and paste. They cut and paste the constitution. Let me tell Kenyans, credibility. Some people are saying this guy has credibility. Which credibility? He was the CEO, the chief executive officer of the same constitution. Didn't he see the loopholes if he's an expert? Watu wanamuweka wana expert gani? Expert gani? Didn't he see the loopholes? He just left the constitution, and that's how intelligence NGO mafia trained internationally by CIA, how they operate. They left, they left so many things. He left loopholes to use it for eating because he cannot get any government job. Who can give him a job? Where? And he does what with it? He might not even write anything. He's used to cut and paste. Cut, pop, like a Maina Kiai. Pop, cut. Gladiol Otieno, cut, pat. Oh, this cut, pat. Hassan Omar, pop. These are the people. The same guys. This is the group that cut evidence against Kenyatta. This is the same group. Don't forget. I've never been happy with any NGO where Kenyans you can condemn me. But I suffered on that plane 272 times on a plane going to save people. And here they are. The same groups. Same groups. Cut and paste, pat. Bring South Africa. They get their degrees by cut and paste. Whoa. Because they have never studied in Britain. In Britain, you can't cut and paste. In fact, you could end up doing an exam, they lock you up. Do you know how many years? 7. You are a student doing exam, you cut and paste several times. It's fraudulent.
It's fraudulent, yes.
It's a very serious case. So this constitution, this guy was the CEO. Why didn't he see the problems? Credibility. So when we start campaigning, BBI versus his, tutamfloa, tutamgonga chini, hawezi sisi.
And Orengo seems to agree with you in his response to Okoth's proposal. He said he should have waited for the BBI outcome. He's not trying to make the referendum look like a political game by not wanting to hear other people's views.
James Orengo, thank you. At least BBI redemption strategy is going to Kwale, is going to Samasabit openly, is going to every place. It was in Kiambu. This one, where did they announce on the Kisumu wearing their uniform and going to rest with their girlfriends? That is when we saw the announcement. Yes, nyenye kama mzungumize mimi tazungumiza. Because the burden was left to me. A single-handed foreigner was left in the ICC court They are sitting in there in the gallery. See, people feared to go there. They feared even to enter there. I am telling you, they feared. Only the family and myself and the rest. Ask them. Look at the pictures. God, I can produce. I have not kept everything. Kept one by one. Anybody atasema namna hivi, I released the pictures how I was single, alone there in the gallery. At times the people fear because they thought will come and say, are you the one? But I entered there to save my people. I didn't know them. That's the type of spirit Kenyans should have. I did not know Uhuru. I did not know Ruto. I did not know Muthaura. I stood to defend them. And I'm not going to keep quiet when I see somebody going to bring trouble. This constitution, this thing here is NGO. It's George Soros. The intelligence system of this country should look, how did this man get this money to hire helicopters in 47 counties to mobilize people? How much was being paid? Because we might be voting on external sponsored regime change. I agree with Mr. Orengo for the first time.
Yes, and doctors, something just caught my eye here as I was you were talking, and just in the proposal, what he's saying, I'll just read some 2 points we missed in the other newspaper. Just the same. It is saying achieve gender rule as Kenyans to elect one man and one woman from each of the 47 counties to parliament. And also another point, life sentence for one convicted of corruption. So he's proposing a life sentence for those who are convicted of corruption and no presidential pardon. Such cases to be tried within 30 days and appeals concluded in 15 days. That seems to be what we would not have corruption in this country. That part, especially on corruption.
But which organization will allow you to sentence somebody without even a pardon? Which country which country does he live in? She telling me even the Queen pardons the people.
But
even Trump.
Those convicted on corruption.
Yes, yes. Trump has a pardon. Unless you are writing a constitution from Venice.
But you can pardon those who have stolen chicken from the villages.
Mama, even those who broke the bank, those who brought down the banks in the US,
they can be pardoned.
They will be pardoned on parole. So which constitution is this that this guy is proposing? That's rubbish.
But are these not some of the laws we wanted to be amended to be able to make corruption a high end,
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
The corruption. And you see,
a high risk.
That's why now this place, these are the things which would attract people. But these are the many points that he should have put on the front page. If you talk about corruption, people, where is it there?
I think that is the standard. That was the standard's
mistake. Yeah, the standard. No. That's why I'm marking him according to what the standard point
saying
has put. But such a thing like that one. You see?
And the solution to the gender rule.
Have you seen?
Yes. One man, one woman, so that we don't have this
the problem of giving women
extra,
free.
Yes.
That's it. Those are some of the things that the court could have after addressing the root cause.
After
the root cause.
The BPI seeks to address the root cause. So maybe the timing of his proposal is just
wrong.
Right.
He should have waited for the BBI
to come out.
Come up, liaise, if you're a good statesman, liaise with the government, because you are doing it for the interest of the people of Kenya. You are not doing it for the interest of George Soros or Jeffrey Smith or Johnny Carson's. Have you seen? Johnny Carson's.
And Otiende Molo says the process by Dr. Okot is opportunistic and is not appropriate. So that is according to Otiende Molo.
Yes, if you have the heads that have gone to school, like Otiende and Matanga, and the Warengos, you can't defeat us. You have to find which school you went. Let Okoro Okot define his school. Which one? America. Let him say. You can't. This is George Soros school. Well, I am not going to be persuaded. Do you know what, ma'am? There are things I can't say on this national television.
Yes.
When it comes to Kenya and who receives money from George Soros, I don't want to say it now. You wait. The list is coming. Then you will see that some of the people now talking so high are the people who have received huge money from George Soros.
And what was this proposal also? He's saying there's constitutional commissions to comprise not more than 5 part-time members. So he does not want, say, the electoral commission to.
Those are good. That's okay.
On part-time
that
basis.
can be changed. You don't need to put it in a referendum. You can change it, but it hinges. Constitutional commissions hinge on the main part, the plank of the Constitution.
Yes, it has
the article that. You cannot just change by mouth.
It has to go.
That's okay.
Yes.
But there are things that we can. My condemnation, why I am condemning Mr. Okoro Court, is the opportunistic way he has brought this before the BBI.
The timing.
The timing, and ma'am, you hit it. The timing. And the usage, he has been paid money. He likes money so much. Money, Okot, money. He likes huge money. Because he has got huge expenditure. I know every detail, so don't worry. I'm here. You can challenge me. What will he get from me? Nothing. I know what he has done and know what he does. And I know who was behind this whole payments. We know.
Yes. And Doctor, having lived in the UK, and also you're very familiar with the political situations across Europe, a public servant, especially a member of parliament or a public servant, a politician, you don't come into the public service to make money. So most politicians are not very rich. You see them riding bicycles in Switzerland and taking trains. And so by him proposing a reduction of salary, is he trying to perhaps that if you really want to serve the public, you're not here to make money? Or what could have advised his proposal for a reduction of the president to receive 500,000 Kenya shillings as a salary, and the members of parliament 300,000 Kenya shillings? Would that
then okay? The president receives then it goes to what? President has deeds. President has a family. President has children. Then there is no social structure, no social contract. There is no probation officer, no social worker, no community worker, no prison worker, no what? No. What? The social.
But will that discourage anybody who thinks they want to come to public service to make money, or will that encourage more stealing?
That can be done in an ideal situation.
Yes, in an ideal situation.
What Mr. Okot is suggesting can be done in America.
Somewhere in Switzerland.
In Switzerland, where there is a ticket for Matanga. When Matanga has reached 60, I have a freedom pass. Like me now.
The government looks after
it. In London, like me, I travel free on the on the train. Not a peak hours. But because they want me to go and look at the Queen, and every time at the Paris, sit there, the sunshine can hit you, then go in the train back home.
Vitamin D is very important.
Vitamin D, and then you can travel also.
Because of your age?
That is social contract.
So when you get at
60, at 60 in London.
That's good.
You call it a day.
You retire from public service.
Call it a day. Shake my hand.
Okay.
Your card comes as your card is freedom pass. You go on the train free. You go and watch football in Wembley free.
Oh, really?
You go in the library free. You rent books free. They give you time to relax in the shop, in the lane. There is a social contract. There is a social system. So when you get to the president 500,000, After 7 years, then he goes to do what? And he goes back in a social system that is rotten. A retirement check in Kenya has not reached the people since the president started talking about retirement check.
Yes.
Is there a retirement check? Employment money, if you are not employed in Kenya, in Britain, you are paid money for being unemployed. Have you ever heard of that? Did you know that?
Yes, I know that.
Yes.
Even in America, even...
You are paid money for not having a job.
Yes.
Here in Africa, we are still looking for a job. Nobody even cares whether you ate yesterday. Nobody cares whether you have washed your clothes for 6 hours, for 10 days. The same shirt is still the same. Because you don't have money even to buy food.
Yes.
In London, it is a must. There is a social contract.
Even in the US, you're given the stamped food. Government food, yes.
There's a social contract. If the people see your child is not going to school,
somebody will call the
probation officer to find out why that child in that house is not going to school. Is the system in Kenya, Mr. Okot, that you can propose that MPs can have 300,000. MPs have a queue as long as 20 miles around their rural homes. I stand on this one. I witnessed, I told you the story last week, where I visited my MP. I drove my Range Rover up to there and I arrived there. I slept in a hotel, then I went to his house to go. I found a queue 2 miles. Then I said, Mheshimiwa, why did you bring me here? Is there a funeral or something? While I was driving into the man's compound, I thought there was a funeral. Or some people had killed this man. Only to find that the people had come with their problems. So there's no social contract. Why do people go to the MP's house?
How can you rectify that?
It's a social contract. Put institutions, obstacles, challenges, structural challenges, Mama. Kenya faces structural challenges. He has not tackled it. You are simply telling us, cut one county, put 3 constituents. You are taking us to a fight. This is a fight to cause a state of disobedience. People will start rioting. You go to game and lump them with Siaya. With down there, game, Alego, Ugenya, weka moja, watapigana. Ochenyi can't see with Raila. Mutapigania hapo constituency ya Bondo, muweke pamoja. No, this is what this guy is causing here. Have you seen the problem? Even Ochenyi of Ugenya cannot see Raila face to face. It's better you leave them with their constituents. Ugenya people don't meet Siaya, Obondo, and again, there is a difference in politics.
We've always had different constituencies.
Yes, but then you are one county. Now, what about how are you going to demarcate this one county where Ugenya, Bondo, and what is the other one? The game.
Alego.
And Alego, they don't see eye to eye. The MPs, they see eye to eye when Raila is around. As soon as Raila departs,
they go back to their ways.
Yes. The shirts start folding. Let's see. Where kuja? So, this thing is dead. On arrival.
Dead on arrival.
No MP. You think MPs are going... They have tested these good things.
But now Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen exposed the confusion at the top when he contradicted his National Assembly counterpart Aden Duale that the drive would fall flat. So he says that the MCAs have the greatest opportunity to stamp the authority by supporting Punguza Mzigo initiative, and MCAs have been despised so far too long. It's like they're pitting, the different, levels against each other.
Okay, you know why?
So he's supporting that.
You know why Murkomen?
This is the leader of Senate.
Who's using them?
The other one is leader of.
But you know the person using both. Murkomen is a younger man.
You'd expect they'll speak in one voice.
He's being used by somebody to keep his stand. He cannot make his own stand.
So we can't assume the other people are quiet, as the newspaper here said, Uhuru, Ruto, Raila are mum. So there's a person who other people are speaking on their behalf.
Yes. It's only Uhuru who has not spoken.
Especially the Ruto's camp has been very vocal.
Yes. You go to the social media and see how Tangatangas are celebrating that we are now there. We've got it. And then, they are doing that, the boss, one section of the same group comes up to say, we support. We shall stop it. Another section said, no. It is Machiavellian politics. Believe me or not, it's Machiavellian politics. There is no politics of social contract. The majority, the people, the will of the people, to root out corruption. From the day President Uhuru Kenyatta said there must be life audit, the president has been on the receiving end. The state of apathy, the belittlement, the disparaging, the besmirching, the prostituting of his name by a section of people aligned to somebody. They disparage his name on a daily basis. They eat his name lunch, dinner, supper, plus dessert. Every day. Because there's someone who fears. We know what it is. I liked one lady today and I want to pay attention, a tribute to her on K24 or on KTN today. This morning during Inside Africa show, which started at 11. Gertrude, that lady there, thank you very much. And Dismas Mukua, for the first time, thank you very much. You stood by the truth. Your views were my views.
What did they say? We'll start with the lady.
The lady was very categorical that this is Mr. Ekuro's mission of someone paid him to do this. This must Mukua the same. The church today, he remained in the level, in the middle. The lady, of course, Rosalyn Abala, you let me down today. Because she said, Okuro court is good. Because no reason, no deeper root. You have not found the Kenya's root cause. Until you find the Kenya's root cause. Let's take a break. When you come back and you finish up with the African news.
All right, so don't go too far. The African Showdown will be right back.
We discuss Africa. We see what ails Africa. And today, this afternoon, we want to see whether Sudan will permanently remain a sick child of Africa. Is it a permanent sickness? Can we resolve the issues of Southern Sudan? Is it something that has gone wrong for 200 years? There has always been a problem in Southern Sudan, in that great region, starting from all the way the Alimadi wars and the rest of all what happened until today. Peace seems to be elusive. Why has UN taken slow action? Why hasn't UN set up a tribunal? We want to see a tribunal that will make sure that Southern Sudan people are accountable,
those who committed crimes against the human beings. 20,000 Sudanese perished. They are perished. They are not accountable. Nobody can account for them. And we cannot sit here, go on hammering peace agreements without mechanisms of accountability. If we set a tribunal for Sierra Leone, for Rwanda, for Camera Rouge, we need somebody to stand up for the poor masses, the masses that have died, the masses that continue to die, the masses that are being brutalized, murdered, maimed on a daily basis by marauding armies of both Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. There must be an accountability. You are not going to sit here and tell people there is no accountability in Southern Sudan. There must be a tribunal. Why do we run to harass countries of Kenya, put ICC on Kenya, put ICC on this country, put ICC on Central African Republic? Why have we delayed on putting a tribunal for Southern Sudan to find out who is killing, who has been killing, how they have been killing people? Let me speak for the people in Southern Sudan, the women, the children who have not gone to school, the children who have no medicine, the children who have nothing, who have been running since 2013, and the war cannot end because of two people. Let them face the tribunal. I'm not going to keep quiet as a Pan-African to see Southern Sudan being maimed, being tortured, being cut, dismembered, and we keep quiet and watch people vote images of people, of malcontents singing to us in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, telling us they have money. Let them face the international tribunal and tell the tribunal who gave them the guns, where they buying them, how they were killing people. Enough of is enough. Enough is enough for Africa. We have had enough. There is no need of that anymore. Enough is enough. And if people have died, they will not cry. We people who are left on planet Earth must cry for them. We must find justice for them. We must make sure that there are leaders who go on bragging on television stations all over the world, who are accountable. They must be behind bars.
Welcome back and a very good afternoon to you if you're watching us from Africa, and if you're watching us from outside of Africa. It could be an evening, it could be a morning, but thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here. It's 3:43 East African time, and we were looking at the referendum debate in Kenya. It's making headlines in the major newspapers here in Kenya. This is the Standard, and we've just been talking about it. And of course, Mr. Ekuru Aukot made his proposals last week, and IEBC has endorsed his Punguza Mzigo drive, and now the effects are beginning to be felt from the other political quarters. I think people must have underrated Mr. Aukot, so nobody was really paying attention to what he was doing. So a lot of these camps were caught off guard. So we've been looking at that for the last 1.5 hours, but now I just want us to go through quickly what is making headlines in Africa this afternoon. And we start with Liberia, where law experts and politicians are amongst those meeting in Liberia's capital, Monrovia, to discuss how to set up a war crimes court in the country. According to Civitas Maxima, a Swiss organization that works to ensure justice for victims of war crimes, following the debate, the plan is to introduce a draft bill to Parliament to create the court. And we move to Malawi, where Malawians have taken to the streets in all cities and major towns to protest against the manner in which last May's elections were conducted. Nearly 2 months since the elections were held, political tension remains high as election results are being challenged in court by the opposition. The largest group was in the capital Lilongwe, where the protest was largely peaceful, and though some main roads in the city were blocked by burning tires and rocks placed by demonstrators. And in Mozambique, members of parliament in the country have passed a bill criminalizing the marriage of people under the age of 18 and proposing penalties for offenders and enablers of the practice. An adult who marries a minor will be jailed for up to 12 years in prison, the bill says. If President Filipe Nyusi assents, the bill will become law. And in Tanzania, the country is considering reviewing its conclusions about economic growth after the World Bank calculated a much lower figure for 2018. The government claims a gross domestic product grew 7% last year, but the Washington-based institution calculates growth of about 5%, and the World Bank used the same data as Tanzania's statistics agency. Their discrepancy will worry investors. When foreign investors lend to countries, their decision is influenced by the health of a nation's economy. And in Nigeria, an aid worker and staff from the local Ministry of Health are said to be missing after being ambushed by the Islamist militant Boko Haram on Thursday last week. The victims were on their way from the northeastern city of Maiduguri to the town of Damasak in Borno State when they were attacked. According to a leaked security memo, the attack happened around midday on Thursday, about 20 kilometers from Damasak. Boko Haram militants are believed to have targeted 3 cars belonging to an international NGO. And in Zimbabwe, the civil servants have accepted a one payoff of $45 as part of a wage negotiations after they rejected an offer of $10 a month wage increase earlier in July. Last month, June inflation surged up to 175%, the highest in over a decade. This prompted fears of a return to the era of hyperinflation. The agreement averts a potential strike for now, but negotiations for a more permanent wage hike continues. And in South Africa, corruption watchdog has accused President Cyril Ramaphosa of deliberately misleading Parliament. The finding was made at the same time the country's former President Jacob Zuma announced he was withdrawing from a separate corruption inquiry. It has been a dramatic morning that was yesterday in South Africa as the country's struggle to tackle high level of corruption. First came the news that the former President Jacob Zuma had refused to continue giving evidence at a public inquiry into the corruption that took place under his 9 years watch. And we end with Sudan, where talks aimed at finalizing the details of the transition to democracy in Sudan have been postponed. AFP news agency reports, quoting 2 protest leaders, on Wednesday last week, the military rulers had signed a deal with civilian representatives with an outline with what the transition will look like. One of the protest leaders told AFP that the civilians needed more time to reach a united vision. So that is just in a nutshell what is making headlines this afternoon across Africa. And in case where you are, there's something we need to know, please kindly write to us in our comment section, and I'll be happy to share with the rest of our viewers. I see Boldrick. Is it a good morning to you? You're saying you're watching all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. And you're saying good morning, Dr. David. He's just excused himself in a minute, but he'll be back for us to finish the show. Daudi Wambuta, you're asking, what does occults have to do with ICC? I think Dr. Matsanga will answer that when he returns here. And Francis Habu Kamau, you're saying, Doctor, you are a visionary leader. And Kenna Christian, you're saying, good afternoon, great Punchline Africa TV. Indeed, good afternoon to you. And Zachariah Magok, okay, fine. Thank you so much for joining us. And Samuel Lay, you're saying all this led to corruption. I think the things we were talking about much earlier, it was quite a heated debate here, and I see you guys were responding very well. Thank you so much. And Abdiaziz Ahmed, you're saying BBI is a tool used against Deputy President William Ruto on his ambition in 2022 presidency. We as neighbors stand with William Ruto and his Tanga team. Okay, those are your opinion. Thank you so much. So just a short break to allow Dr. Matsanga to join us back on set. Please do not go too far. Thank you so much. You're saying you're watching us all the way from Canada there in North America. Thank you so much for joining us and for your valued company. It's morning there. I believe it's evening. It's afternoon here, going to evening here in Nairobi. And Doctor, I was just going through the news making headlines in Africa this afternoon, and Malawians, they continue to take to the streets. President Peter Mutharika he's not sitting pretty since his re-election in March. The opposition has refused.
George Soros. Those instructions were very clear. Instructions were very clear that there is no way they will give time. They will not allow a sitting president in Africa whom they don't like to be part and parcel. Remember Joyce Banda, the former president, was an NGO in Nairobi. She ran a huge NGO in Nairobi. Joyce Banda, who united with Chaikare, the deputy, opposition leader. Therefore, they will continue with the same politics of NGO. It's the politics that the Okuro courts are bringing here. That the politics of Kenya will be is not worth it in the future. In fact, it is the politics of Kenya, the sweet one, ended in 2018. The rest is going to depend on money. How many people you are bought? You can see people are choosing each other. Like Bosire, the member of Bosire is a member of parliament or somewhere, or a former member of parliament said Ruto is buying opposition figures to come into. He's a pirate. He has just written on the Star newspapers. Let me just put it so that people don't accuse me of having. I'm sending it to Fred and Stephen to bring that particular thing. You see? Yes. So the politics of Kenya is going to slowly end up in a very simple way. Where will it end? It will end up in 2022.
And one of our viewers here, I think, is bringing up an important thing. I think I've read it a few days before, and Isaiah Tobias, Eziamaku, you're saying, Dr. Matsanga, what is Punchline TV talking about trigger settlement in the zoo? Now, this...
I am going to tell them,
yes,
we are going to discuss Nigeria at 9 p.m.
At 9 p.m. East African time.
Yes, Runga settlement is coming up at 9 p.m. I'm discussing Nigeria. We were going to announce today with Pierre Lumumba and another gentleman, Ambassador Maina, an international expert from Chad. You know, you didn't know that the name Maina comes from Chad also.
It originates from Chad, or we share.
Yes, you shared. So we are going to dissect the Nigerian problem. Is Nigeria sliding into genocide?
Yes, into genocide.
Yes. So I will just don't give us the answers now. Just tune at 9 p.m. East African time, which is at 7 p.m.
Nigerian time,
which is 2 hours behind.
Yes.
So 9 p.m. All Nigerians, all Biafrans, this is your time, your chance to watch me. I will be live and talking about how Nigeria is sliding into a genocide state where tribes are beginning, because it's not me who blew up the whistle. It is General Obasanjo who has blown out the whistle. And therefore, look at that.
So the Ruga settlement, actually, the government wants to allow the Fulani herdsmen to create settlements across all over Nigeria.
Yes.
And other quarters are opposed to that.
Yeah, so not opposed, but you are killing them, then allow these other people to come and take.
Allow them, yes.
Yes, forcefully. Yes. It is displacement, like what was done in northern Uganda conflict.
Okay.
Yes,
so it's going to be.
And what was done in the Rift Valley. No, don't forget that. History, we are not talking about it, but there was displacement. And a part of the problem, why
that has caused what we have today.
Do we have today?
So the root cause.
Yes.
The root cause.
Root cause. Thank you. You are go back to that all the time. This thing does not address the root cause.
We have to go back to the root cause.
The root cause.
Yes.
Tuambie nini, why Kenyans fight after the election, and the South Africans don't fight. The Kenyans are fighting, South Africans are not fighting. South Africans are already doing some business, maybe for 2025. They are not fighting anymore. But we in East Africa, we talk. In Ethiopia, for the example, the man is asking, why don't you talk about Ethiopia, people dying in Canberra? We always talk about it.
Talked about. I think I read one of the news last week, and I've been keeping our viewers in touch with what has been happening in Ethiopia, and some parts of Ethiopia they wanted to have their own I think state or something, and the Prime Minister was telling them to wait first so that structures and modalities are put into place. So yes, another simmering tension there in Ethiopia. But please tune tomorrow for Good Morning Africa show, and I'll be bringing the latest from Ethiopia. I think Oko Ajake, thank you so much for joining us. So in Tanzania, Doctor, while you are away for a minute, apparently the World Bank has given the economic growth in Tanzania at 7% and the government at 5%, and the government has said no, it will review the figures because they believe that the economic growth in Tanzania has grown by 7%, not the 5% as the World Bank has stated. I'm sensing something here because the Western part and the World Bank, they have been at loggerheads with Tanzania government, especially after President Pombe Magufuli took
pulled out of the French
stance on
gay and lesbian,
gays and also girls not back to school, and we've seen he has received a lot of backlash with that. So because some investors use these figures to decide if they want to invest in a country, so could this be something behind the scenes that we don't understand?
Yes, they are pulling Magufuli back. And that is the type of thing Mr. Okoro Okot wants Kenya all the time. Because he wants to pull it back. They want to control this Kenya. They want to control it from the main axis, the main pillars of the main pillars of the cultural, political, economic, manufactured. A manufactured economy of Kenya is based on the social, cultural, and economic. The growing of tea is associated with Kericho and Kirinyaga and Nyamira. You can't change that growing of tea to be associated with Marsabit.
I know.
No tea will grow in Marsabit.
No, it cannot.
So there is a problem that we have here that we are facing. When you see younger men of this nature behaving this way and reasoning, even those who have gone to school, reasoning the way they have reasoned, there is always a very big problem.
All right.
And that problem is going to be seen. That problem is going to come out very soon. I know many Kenyans have said, when I wrote, I don't know how many people are still insulting me, but let me see. This morning, you can see while we are talking, the picture of the Star newspaper as the headline 3 hours ago. Timothy Bosire, Ruto has turned into a political party pirate, waylaying, enticing, and grabbing away opposition figures into his faction, like a Harwale. This is Mr. Harwale who has insulted, who damaged Jubilee. In fact, the biggest fight, Raila would have not gone to the swearing in ceremony. It was Harwale and Miguna who were pushing. So, look, there is something wrong. And then
But that also goes to show the dishonesty that a lot of our politicians have. They don't stand for anything, so they're easily swayed to whichever side, as long as whoever who calls for the pipe and gives more, they join that. So that just shows how much our politics, they don't have ideas that really drive them, or they stand for in the politicians we have in the country.
Let me tell you, it is going to take time for people to heal. But the BBI and the healing process must begin. Bringing a referendum, even if bring 1 million, they will not change.
All right.
So thank you very much, viewers. That brings us to exactly 4 p.m. We've kept time, despite the running up and down and the moving up and down. We have been able to bring to impact to you tonight at 10 p.m.
10 or is it 10 or 9?
At 9 p.m. East African Standard Time, we shall be broadcasting live on Matanga Africa Perspective. I will be looking at a country, one country in Africa that is worrying everybody. It is a populous country with a population of over 2 million people, and we would like to discuss the Runga settlement, the forceful displacements, the type of genocide that is being created, organized, planned, equipped, logistically supplied. Who is supplying this genocide? The other time the war broke up between Ojukwu and Gowan, there was Total Oil and the BP, Shell BP. We don't know now the supply of all these materials, the killings of I have got everything. And as I told you, on Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I will ask the chief prosecutor, Africa World Media, Pan-African Forum will lead the queue for asking the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court why, with all these photographs, evidence of massacres, killings, cuttings, shootings, why she has not taken action against
the government.
Even just a warning. Why?
All right.
So, my fellow Africans, join me at 9 p.m. We shall be with Professor Lumumba and another Ambassador Maina, apparently not from Kenya, but from Chad, the neighboring of Nigeria. We shall be discussing live from Nairobi. Why is Nigeria sliding into genocide?
And Doctor, just before we leave quickly, one of our viewers here wants to know, Magabo Mungenge, you're saying, what is the update in Sudan? I think I read it, maybe you were not tuned, but just in one line, the talks aimed at finalizing the details of the transition to democracy in Sudan have been postponed. AFP News Agency has reported, and they quoted two protest leaders, and they said, of course, the military rulers had signed a deal with civilian representatives last week, but now the problem is the civilian side say they needed more time to reach a united vision. This is a problem. The opposition cannot agree. And I think that was the problem also before that halted the talks, before, you remember. They could not agree on one thing. So now they say they needed time to reach a united vision. They did not have a vision.
Do you know why they cannot agree?
To reach a united vision.
Yes. Why the opposition cannot unite? It's because it's funded. The biggest opposition is funded through France. And another faction is funded through Kulune. George Kulune.
And the other faction is funded through UAE and Saudi Arabia. They're supporting.
So there you are.
Okay. So that is the latest. Mugabo, thank you so much.
Sudan is, you see, if we are not careful, because there was already an attempted coup recently.
Yes, there was.
If we are not careful, we might end up having another Libya, and it would be worse, because at least Libya, there is a fight here and there. But this one, we shall have a very, very dangerous situation in South Sudan.
All right, so you'll see them at 9 with that.
In Sudan, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock East Africa.
We shall talk about even the few things, African countries, but our topic today is Nigeria sliding. A poster is coming across. Keep your time, 9, whatever hours. I was advised yesterday, and I think Sam is listening, that put in European time, put in United States time, so that people can find.
I think it's only fair because a lot of our viewers come from there, so that should
from the diaspora. Add on the poster. Add on the poster American time and the European time, and the West African time with Nigeria is 9 p.m. in Kenya.
7 p.m.
It's 7 p.m. in Nigeria. South Africa, is it the same? South Africa is 1 hour behind. Yes, it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, so add on those plus the picture of the man who will also be with me. I'm sending it to you. PLO Lumumba is on his way. He will be here, but you will find either he will start and go home, or he'll come and finish with us. Thank you. At 9 p.m. East African Standard Time. And by the way, those who have not read our statement of Punchline, I think you have read it. I don't know whether you read it.
Today?
I wrote a statement regarding Punchline being used by K24.
For the new political show.
Sure.
On Sunday.
I have written a statement, and I would like to reiterate to my viewers that I'm not going to court, simply because I've graduated another person who can copy me, and it makes me happy.
It's a form of flattery. Copying.
It's
a form of flattery.
It's a form of flattery. So it is a very good exercise. I was advised by very many people that there was no need of haggling over it. The younger girl needed a job. I don't need a job. She needs a job more. And I'm not going to take any further steps. I wish all the best, but I've written the full text statement. Maybe the editors can read it and see why K24 sinks low every day. Every year they pump in money, but it doesn't grow. And why other stations have grown? Because they have taken their half-baked editors like Mr. Opondo, who doesn't know what an editor does. His role is maybe only to engage himself in squabbles in nightclubs. So I have never squabbled in a nightclub, and it is stupid for them. I just want to I will not quarrel, I will not go to court. It is very sad that when you have inept editors and news editors like Opondo and the rest mushrooming around, that they're editors, they can't advise. The best they could have done is to hire me and to hire Punchline to do because this content was mine. There is nothing here that I copied from anywhere. The entire content that you see on Frontline, on Punchline Africa is Matanga. It's my content. Because I read the subject and I brought out the content, the opinion, the People's Courts, Matanga Africa Perspective, My Take, all this, many of the programs, if you can line them, the diaspora dispatches, all these are here. I created them here. I created the names. It is not very bad for people to copy from you. After all, even people copied from Saul and they changed to Paul. So there is nothing wrong. The only problem is the type of antagonism that goes with it, and the type of bravado that people are using on social media to depict that, you see, you have been taken over. Punchline Africa TV still remains. Annie Chiguta used the name Punchline. I am not going to court, and I will not go anywhere. I will continue praying like I've prayed for 64 years, that at one time someone will realize that it was very wrong for you to name a child Matilda because your neighbors named a child Matilda. That's it. That's the best that we can do. But it shows to you the level of why some televisions, even if you pump it in billions and millions of shillings, it will never grow. The number of people on the platform on K24 is much, much lower. At times you find 20, 60, 100. That's a television station which could be doing 1,000 per minute, per second. But it does 120, 130, which I do here, much more at times. So there is nothing wrong. As she has said, is it called what?
It's the best flattery when a person copies.
It's flattery.
Imitation.
Imitation. That's okay.
It's the best form of flattery.
That's okay. So there's nothing wrong. And good luck. 9 p.m. Enjoy the show. I will also use the same hashtag punchline. Yes, that's it. It is on my show. Because I've been using it before. Nobody was complaining. Watch at you money 9 p.m. Can you send me home?
All right, let's see you at 9 p.m.
And you?
Yes, we'll see them at 9 p.m.
And you? You have to be on standby to ask very serious, daring questions about Nigeria.
Yes.
You have already started the debate. Runga settlements, what do they really mean? So I take this opportunity to allow you to go and put some notes for the us and your questions. We shall do it in turns and see it, because it will be huge. Yes.
All
you
right.
know, when Nigerians come, they come, the Biafrans come in huge number.
And we're looking forward to having them tonight.
Yes. So don't forget 9 p.m., 8 p.m., all the television stations, all the radio stations. My God, it is on, it will be fire. We are trying to save Nigeria. We are trying to save the killings that are taking place, remove those killings, expose what is taking place, which Obasanjo came out himself and said there is a genocide.
Genocide. It's about
Thank you.
Nigeria, yes.